Okay, welcome back. You're listening to AM 1080 KSCO Santa Cruz. Flight 1080 is back in the air, and this time we have a real treat for you. We have three guests here who are going to tell us about what's going on with an important project to them. This is about saving a piece of history, and we're going to let you guys know how you can help with this. We're talking about the Jeremiah O'Brien, and here to speak with us about that is Joan Raphael, Bob Jarvis, and Bill Greig. Welcome aboard, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here. Now tell me about the Jeremiah O'Brien.
Well, okay, sir. The Jeremiah O'Brien is a World War II Liberty ship that is built in 1943 as part of an emergency shipbuilding effort to supply Europe with munitions and troops. And she is currently at Pier 35 in San Francisco. She is fully operational and manned by a volunteer crew.
That's very cool. So what's going on with the Jeremiah O'Brien?
Well, we're always restoring, on constant state of restoration. We have tours aboard every day of the year. And we have steaming weekends where you can come and watch the engine turn. It's quite interesting. It's real similar to the Titanic. In fact, they did use our ship to film the Titanic engine room.
Wow, that's very cool.
They used our engines for that. So, we have docents and we have engineers. We're always recruiting for new people. We have deckhands, of which I am one, and Bob also. And, we've got winches that run, the gear, runs the cargo lifting, taking gear things on and off the ship. In fact, the winches are vital. Without the winches, we wouldn't be able to function because we have so much things coming up and down, equipment, all kinds of things. Mm-hmm. Okay? So I'll let Bob go ahead and finish up.
Well, the ship is a memorial to the sailors who did the job and died during the war, delivering all the cargo that the armies needed. And there wasn't a lot of recognition, say, after the war. So that's a really important part. And
so, Bob, the Jeremiah O'Brien is a World War II Liberty ship. I'm assuming that means that it didn't have guns and didn't go hunting other ships. What was the job of a Liberty ship?
It was to haul cargo. I guess we are the garden variety C2 standard cargo ship. It wasn't really built to carry humans and transport. Mm-hmm. There was another class that did that. Another class of Liberties also hauled fuel.
So these things were meant to haul supplies, really, to theaters of war. I mean, did they go to to deliver these things to, say, Japan or
all theaters? I think the majority were on the Atlantic coast until Germany was defeated, and then they were shipped around through the Panama Canal to help out in the Pacific theater.
Can I jump in here?
Yeah, sure. Bill Greig.
One thing that's important about the Jeremiah O'Brien specifically is she made 11 trips from England to the beaches of Normandy right after D-Day. And we call her the Lucky O'Brien. She's always been called the Lucky O'Brien because starting on the day after D-Day for 30 days or so, she went back and forth across the channel. She evaded E-boats. She evaded U-boats. She evaded artillery, aircraft. She only suffered one close call when a bomb exploded and put some shrapnel into one of the lifeboats. Other than that, she survived intact. And she did have defensive weapons on board. Mm-hmm. The ship was crewed by both merchant mariners, who Bob referred to, civilian sailors, who, by the way, had the highest percentage of deaths in World War II, except for the Marine Corps. And she also had a crew of U.S. Navy armed guard who operated the 3-inch cannon, the 5-inch cannon, and the machine guns.
Very interesting. So it sounds like this ship should be treated as a treasure. So what's going on? Why are you guys here today? What are you here to talk about today?
Well, a couple of things. One, she is a treasure. She's a national treasure. There's only 2 of them left that operate in the world out of 2,700 that were built. And we're here to ask several things. One, we want you to come down and see the ship. She's at Pier 35 in San Francisco. Our website is www.ssjeremiahobrien.org. We want you to come to the ship because we want to share her history with you. We want you to see what conditions were like, what the ship is like. We also are going on a bay cruise May 31st. We leave Pier 35, we go under the Golden Gate Bridge, which is really cool. We go out to Point Bonita. We turn around, we come into the bay, we go down by Oracle Park. If there's a ball game on, we get on TV. And we want you to come on that cruise. It's reasonably priced, it's fun, there's bagpipes, there's soda pop and beer, there's hot dogs, there's a band. It's a lot of fun, a good day on the bay. Once again, May 31st on JeremiahO'Brien.org.
Jeremiah O'Brien, SS Jeremiah.
Sorry, you're correct. SSJeremiahO'Brien.org.
Now, if the people go there, will they be able to find out more? I'm assuming more about the trip, but also how they can help, because I'm sure that you're here to let us know that the Jeremiah could use a little TLC. Yes,
we're always looking for volunteers. As time goes by, there's less and less of the old crew left. So. Basically 4 departments: the docents who sell the tickets and take the people around the ship. Then there's the deck department, which all 3 of us are. We handle the mooring lines and we run the gear to load and unload material. Then there's the engineers, of course, run the steam plant and keep all the plumbing going, which is really important. And then the steward department, we have some people who are the cooks and actually cook breakfast, lunch for us on Wednesdays and Thursdays.
Wow.
During a couple days a week. And during a cruise, everyone's busy, and it's really fun. It takes a lot of hoops to jump through to keep this ship operational and sailing. Everything works except the guns, which were
right,
dim-milled by the Navy.
Right.
Here's Joan.
I just wanted to say something about the visitors. We have people coming from all over the world, especially the UK and from Holland, who were really, really appreciative of the role this ship played during the war. We literally these ships saved England, okay? I've seen visitors come on board from there, and they remember their experiences and with tears in their eyes saying, these ships saved us during the war. Also from Holland. And Europe, and so it's great. It's wonderful to keep this alive, and even the children are just so entranced by the machinery. Even people into high tech they just can't grasp this. Really, look at how complex this is, and yet it works. The winches are very simple, but they're just entranced by all this. So do come along and see this wonderful treasure.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things about World War II era machinery, or just general old machinery, is how they made these things work. It's incredible, and you're telling me that this thing actually is sail-worthy. I mean, you're going out for a cruise on the 31st, and people you can buy tickets to get out there right now?
Absolutely, can buy them online. And also, we're right adjacent to, we're just a stone's throw away from Pier 39. So a lot of people are familiar with Pier 39. Mm-hmm. So just south of that, that's where we are. And just come along and enjoy the ride.
I think you can buy tickets at the Doghouse now for these ticket booth for the
is that slang?
Cruises.
Is that slang?
It is.
It's a doghouse.
Don't know how. That must have been a joke a long time ago, but that's what it was called when I first got here.
Well, I think it's very cool that you guys keep this thing afloat and keep it sail-worthy. That is amazing. And that there's only 2 left.
And not only that, but we survived a fire in 2020.
Wow.
We were over at Pier 45, and it's an iconic photograph was taken by one of our rescuers who took a picture of our ship outlined by a whole, it looks like we were in the war. The whole silhouette of the ship is outlined by this fire. It took place in the shed that was used during the war, and the whole thing was on fire. And we're very fortunate that we survived, mainly because the flames were going straight up, because if the wind had been blowing, we'd have been gone. And I was there at the time. It was pretty scary. But so we survived that. So she's meant to survive. She's a lucky ship, and I hope she has many lucky years ahead of her.
Didn't one of you say that her nickname was Lucky?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, it was.
That
yes.
is so cool.
We've got shamrocks all over the place.
Very cool. So again, there's only 2 of them left, and if you want to buy tickets to go out for a bay cruise on the 31st, be sure to go to ssjeremiahobrien.org. That's ssjeremiahobrien.org. Bay cruise, May 31st. You guys are going to go out to the Golden Gate?
Oh, past it.
About a mile.
Yeah, a couple of miles past the Golden Gate. We go out to Land's End in Bonita Cove. Turn around, we come back, we go by Alcatraz, we go by the city front.
Dude, that is so cool.
Go by the Oracle Park, we go under the new Bay Bridge span, which isn't so new anymore. Past Treasure Island. It's way cool.
That is very, very cool. So, what else can you tell me about the Jeremiah O'Brien, you guys?
I have one kind of comment about the way she was built. The Liberty ships were built as an emergency program, and they weren't. The warships took up all the skilled people, all the skilled shipyards. So they actually built shipyards just to build Liberty ships. And the people who worked in the shipyards were unskilled in the trades. And this is where Wendy the welder and Rosie the riveter came in. And, the design was actually obsolete when they built it because they didn't have people to build the turbines and the very high-tech equipment at the time. I like to say that basically if you can work a crescent wrench and a 4-pound hammer, you can repair our ship. And one thing I like to say is that the shipyard in Sausalito that built Liberty ships, it took the company 2 days to get a building permit. Can you imagine getting a building permit for anything, anywhere in 2 days?
That doesn't happen much anymore.
No.
That is incredible. So this thing was in service during World War II. It was at about 1945, sometime around there?
43 to 46. And like I said, she made 11 trips from England to the Normandy beaches. She made several trips to South America and the Far East. But her most interesting cargo was at the end of the war, she was in Australia. She came back to San Francisco with 7 war brides.
That is a little interesting, yeah. So what happened to her after the war?
After she got back to San Francisco, the Liberty ships were not practical for commerce. They were too slow. Mm-hmm. So after the war, they went up to the reserve fleet, or what we call the mothball fleet, or the ghost fleet, up in Sassoon Bay by Benicia. And she stayed there for 35 years. And the fellow who ran the place up there was Admiral Tom Patterson, who was our founder. And he took a liking to the ship, and whenever it was time to scrap a Liberty ship out of the fleet, he would always push the O'Brien's name to the bottom of the list. So a group of volunteers formed a nonprofit corporation. The government lent them the ship. They repaired it up there. Hadn't run in 30-some-odd years. They repaired it, fueled it, got it going, and steamed it down to San Francisco. Put her in the yard, got her seaworthy, and then 10 years later took her back to Normandy for the 50th anniversary of D-Day.
Sailed back to Normandy?
Sailed back to Normandy.
Holy cow.
The holy cow is right, yeah.
How does this thing keep from deteriorating in that salt water and all the salt air? I mean, how is this thing
these two people right here with needle guns. And
it does deteriorate, and we used really good marine quality paint when we go to the shipyard to do the underneath the hull, but nearly every week when we go there, we're chipping away on the areas that are exposed and trying to halt the rust and put a new coating on top of it. And I've been doing it for, I guess, since 2010 now, a couple days a week. And some people think I'm crazy, but I like doing it because I like the end result. It's great and fun. So Joni's done it a couple of times too.
Right, a few times. Yeah, it's very rewarding to see that. And people will comment and say, gee, you guys are doing a great job keeping the ship looking good. And it was really a challenge after the fire because the salt water that the firemen had to use to quench the flame, quench the shed right adjacent to us, well, all that drifted onto the ship, and they did wash us down too to keep us cool. And unfortunately, that had the result of causing some rust. Even the rust will even keep coming out much later. It just keeps coming, and so you have to be on top of it all the time. And want to also stress that we really do need some docents, people who really like to talk to people, you might say. So even if you can't sling a wrench or whatever, well, like we need people in the bookstore, or rather the ship store, to sell items. We have a great store. We sell caps and all kinds of trinkets that are of interest. So, we need you. So consider that.
What does a typical tour of the SS Jeremiah O'Brien look like? So if somebody went there right now and they bought a ticket, I'm assuming that you buy tickets at the doghouse?
Yes.
And then you go on board.
Right.
So what do we see?
Well, right now you buy a ticket at the doghouse, and we'd like to have more docents to have them milling about the deck a little bit to point things out. But most people really just like to look, and we have a new system which is going to be automated, and you stop at a certain thing, like say you're stopping in front of one of the lifeboats, and it will explain what it is and how they were used. And so this is going to be throughout the whole ship, so that in case, so you don't really need a person. But it's always nice to have someone to guide you around if you have some kind of question that pops into your head.
Now, I'm assuming that the volunteers probably get a little more extensive access to the ship to see things that most tourists probably wouldn't see.
We let tourists almost everywhere. Wow. Very few places where we don't allow them to go. And one of the best, most interesting places is our engine room. Our engine is unique now because it's a triple expansion steam engine, which, like I said, was actually obsolete in 1943 when it was built, but they could be built easily. And we allow everybody to go down in the engine room and poke around, and we even allow them to go down there when we're underway. And there's nothing more magnificent than a triple expansion steam engine chugging away at 80 RPM.
And they can watch it?
They can watch it, they can touch it, they can try not to get their hands squished. And
Are they going to be able? Is that going to be part of the fun on May 31st during the Bay Cruise?
Absolutely.
Wow, that is fantastic. Is there a certain time limit when they can buy their tickets, or can they buy it all the way up to the 31st?
Oh, I think they can buy it up to the day of.
Yep.
And we're usually open 10 to 5 every day of the week, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And it's mostly a self-guided tour. And like Bill said, most of the ship is open. Where you can't go, we have at least a small string or a line tied up, and it says, please stay out. If somebody's stateroom where their personal stuff is in for that day, or their locker, stuff like that. We don't want them in the galley where there's drawers full of knives and stuff.
Right. So the ssjeremiahobrien.org, can people, what are some of the ways people can help? Obviously, you mentioned that they can volunteer their time.
They could send us donations, which would go to our dry dock, which is extremely expensive. And we do that how many years? Every 5
years.
Yeah. Every 5 years. And we're talking about, $1 million plus dry dock fees. And the ongoing costs of keeping the ship going. It is very expensive.
So we can also, we solicit memberships. People can buy memberships in our organization, and that entitles them to a discount when they come to the ship. They get a little bit of a VIP treatment when they're on the ship, and they get a regular newsletter that keeps them apprised of what's going on with us.
Oh, and another thing, we're trying to have more events aboard the ship. So if you have like a postcard collectors gathering, along with stamp collectors maybe, or you have a big Boy Scout convention or something, whatever, we'd be happy to host it for you. We have a nice, commodious hold number 2, which is is about as big as a basketball court, and we can have dining tables there. We've had weddings aboard the ship, which is really cool to have a wedding aboard. Mm-hmm. It's totally unforgettable. So those are some of the ideas that we use for events.
And we also have what we call the overnight program, where Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts, Little Leagues, groups of youths, chaperoned, of course, come and spend the night on the ship. And in our number 3 tween deck, which is one of the upper cargo holds, it's set up in the troop configuration with the when the ship did carry troops. There's a number of pipe rack bunks that are so close together that only a 19-year-old soldier or a Boy Scout can fit in them. And that's where they stay. They spend the night aboard the ship, and they have a great time. And we, again, if you go to our website, ssjeremiahobrien.org, you can get more information about our overnight program.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Now, is it only for Boy Scout organizations, or, I mean, could you get your group of friends together and do the same thing?
We don't do adults; they tend to be too much trouble. But no, any group of kids, it doesn't matter if it's an organized group or not, as long as they have chaperones.
Because the idea is to keep the history, the interest in the history of the ship, and just an interest in history going, right? And just keep feeding their curiosity and just try to keep them interested in history.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing how many kids are interested in World War II history.
If you take time to think about it, I mean, how often do you guys think about what the ship has been through? I mean, isn't that
every day
surreal? I mean, I think it's almost otherworldly that you're sitting on this thing, only 2 left, and it's been through, who knows what it's been through since World War II. I mean, so many things have happened, and this thing is still floating, still operational, still chugging people along. In some ways, it's changed its mission, but it's still serving. It's amazing. Very, very cool.
It's an honor to me, and it's the best hobby I ever had or ever will have. And the great crew, they're all my friends. It's a fun time.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think, maybe this would be perfect for somebody who does have a little mechanical experience, or even a lot of mechanical experience, and some spare time. And you can have jobs as easy as, I don't want to say as easy as, but, everything from painting to general maintenance. You don't have to be a rocket scientist, but the more knowledge you have of mechanical things, I think the better off you're going to find it.
And
the more fun you're going to find it.
Right, Dave. And we even have a lady who does all of she's a seamstress, and she's made us what we call a dodger, that, they have a gangway. And so you have this big drape of material going all 50 feet, and she does this, and she does coverings for some of the equipment. And so we can use anyone. And as far as the children go, it's wonderful. The kids really, really love it. And some of the kids really are very interested in learning about the era. So it's great. Teachers are welcome. Bring their kids on board. We've had busloads of kids come on board from various schools. So consider that too.
So the SS Jeremiah O'Brien is a World War II Liberty ship. It's docked at Pier 35. Is that the right word? Docked at Pier 35. People can go there now and buy a ticket and go take a tour of there. There's going to be an upcoming bay cruise May 31st, and you guys are going to go all the way out past the Golden Gate Bridge, down to Point Bonita, past Alcatraz, out by the ballpark. I mean, this is going to be a fun time.
Right.
So tell me a little bit more, but we've got a few minutes here before we have to get out of here.
One thing I would like to say is what the ship means. Wherever you are on the ship, there's a piece of machinery, and it usually has a logo on it or the company that built it. Like our engine was built in Ohio. The steam cylinders for our mooring winches were built in St. Paul. The gyro compass repeaters were built by the Lionel Company.
Wow.
The ship, the engine order telegraph was built in South San Francisco. These ships were built all over the country. There were 2,700 of them. They were built all over the country by everyday Americans. And it really shows what we can do when we all work together. this country came together then, and you're familiar with the Rosie the Riveter, with the "We can do it," and that's what it means to me, is we can do it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, it must be, there must be some times when you're on the ship and you can just really just connect with the history of it, because, like you said, it is a tribute, and it's a tribute to America can do. You know, we can do this, and we used to do this all the time. I'm hoping that we still have that same spirit, but it wasn't just an American spirit. I mean, it was the spirit that kept the war, that kept the world safe, right? I mean, it was a part of what its name is, the Liberty ship. It was part of keeping liberty around the world, and it's still here.
You got to make the world safe for democracy. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. Even though FDR called the ship an ugly duckling, we forgive him for that.
Well, it's not about the looks, right? I mean, maybe, I don't know how it looks compared to other ships, but it's still just a cool piece of history that even cooler is operating and available for tours, and that bay cruise sounds like a lot of fun. Will people get seasick on that, or is the ship so big that that's not really a deal?
Well, if you have any doubts about that, you can always take some Dramamine before you get on board.
Right.
But it's very rare we have anybody with seasickness, so.
How big is this ship in feet? How long is it? How wide is it?
441 feet long, 57 feet wide. Yeah.
How tall is it from the waterline?
That's
Do
a
we
good
know?
one.
95 feet.
There you go.
And the ship is built to carry 10,000 tons of cargo. Now, these days, that's not very big for a ship. But at the time, that was a tremendous amount of cargo. They carried tanks, weapons, food, fuel, avgas, trucks, anything and everything, bags of grain. And she chugged along at 11 knots, which is, even then, was slow.
How do they get the all that stuff in? I mean, I understand how you put bags of stuff in, but how do you get a tank in there?
The winches. They used to winch all this stuff on board with the winches. You got one on the starboard side, one on the port side. The line goes over the side. You lift it up, bring it on board, go down.
You just drop it right into the hold?
Absolutely.
Lower it.
Three levels.
Lower it, yes, not drop it.
Oh, yeah.
Lower it. I thought maybe they had some door that they would drop down and they would drive the stuff in there, but they just lower it right into the holding.
Yeah.
It was way before containers, so it was all man-handled. Must have been awful work filling up. I think it took 3 weeks sometimes to fill it up all the way. And after they filled up the interior, they'd seal it up with the hatches, and then they'd pull them out, more stuff on top of the hatches, trucks, crates, jeeps, and then sometimes they'd even fill up the main deck where we can walk now easily. They lash everything down, so they pretty much maxed out these things. If they made one voyage safely, they would pay for the building of it, and then anything after that was gravy. So they really overstressed these poor little Liberty ships.
Now this is going to sound a little weird. Any weird things happening on the ship? Any ghosts? I love that kind of stuff.
How interesting you mentioned that. One of our Steve, one of our engineers, he stays on board. He's a ship keeper, and he was in his little cabin there, just mellowing out, and he heard some whistling and footsteps in the passageway. And he opened up the door because he's alone on the ship there at the moment, and there was nobody there. And so he closed the door and just thought, well, I must be hearing things. And again, it happened. And he also had another event years ago when he heard the ship's bell ringing for the shift change in the engine room, the watch change, sorry. And that bell is hard to ring. I mean, you got to really, to clang it, and for it to be heard up above decks, it was really loud, and that gave him shivers up his spine. So.
Very cool.
Yeah.
History is a cool thing, man. I love it. So we are just about out of time, but I want to remind people that they can find out more about the SS Jeremiah O'Brien at the ssjeremiahobrien.org. And I just thought about it right now, you guys, it's May right now, so this Bay Cruise is happening in just a few weeks.
That's correct. 2 weeks.
May 31st.
Right.
So get your tickets now. Again, ssjeremiahobrien.org. We've been hanging out with Joan Raphael. I keep Joan Raphael, Bob Jarvis, and Bill Greig. You guys are volunteer crew members aboard the SS Jeremiah. And we're asking for help from the listeners, right? If you know somebody that wants to help either volunteer their time or donate some money, we can use both. You guys can use both. And they can do it at the website, ssjeremiahobrien.org. Any last words before we get out of here? Anything that we didn't mention? Upcoming events, future events, anything else?
Oh, yeah, right, Dave. Coming up is July 4th, and it's going to be on a Friday this year. And we're going to have, again, our annual viewing. And the viewing is on from the ship itself. We serve some hot drinks, and you can watch the firework display from some barges that are on the bay. Usually there's 2 of them, and it's quite a thing to see. It really is.
And someone was telling me something about a radio system up there.
Yeah, we have the ship has a Radio Shack, which is operated by, during the war, is operated by 3 radio officers. 2 were Merchant Marine, 1 was U.S. Navy Armed Guard. And the system was low frequency, continuous wave, 500 kilocycle, for those who care, Morse code. And if you ever seen the movie about the Titanic, when those guys were calling for help, our Radio Shack looks very, very similar to theirs. It's the same system. And this system has not been used for ships in probably about 20 years, but our radio officers can transmit to other museum ships and to a radio station at KFS at Point Reyes, which used to be the station that communicated with ships. And these radio signals, under the right condition, can reach halfway around the world. It was a very, very, very efficient means of communication. Morse code only, no voice.
And people can see this when they buy the tickets. They can see this Radio Shack or the radio room.
Absolutely. And if we happen to have a radio officer aboard, which we don't always do, but if we do, he's happy to take you through the whole deal. And if you're that interested in it, and contact us ahead of time at ssjeremiahobrien.org, we can try to set something up where someone will be there to show you around.
ssjeremiahobrien.org. So we have the upcoming May Bay Cruise event in just a few weeks, May 31st, I believe. I don't have it here in front of me anymore.
Yep.
But the upcoming Bay Cruise event and the upcoming fireworks event, which is on July 4th, where you can actually stand on board the ship and watch the fireworks being launched from the barges out on the San Francisco Bay.
Absolutely.
You know, this is fantastic. I can't believe that more people don't have this on their list of things to see when touring San Francisco. If you type into the computer, where should I go? What should I see in San Francisco? You don't see this very often, and it sounds like this is something that should be right at the top of the list, boy.
Right. I agree with you. Yeah. We have some people up in San Francisco, they didn't even know the ship was there. I mean, it's really amazing.
So if you're going out to Pier, what is it, 39? What's the famous pier?
Pier 35. Oh, yeah, Pier 39 is the famous pier.
So if you're out there, they're all in the same vicinity, yes?
Yeah, if you look south from Pier 39, you'll see the ship.
And I would like to add one more thing, Dave, if I can.
Yeah.
We've talked about our May 31st cruise, which is coming up. We've talked about the fireworks display. But in October, when the U.S. Navy Blue Angels come, we also go out on the bay for Saturday and Sunday. We do the same basic cruise as May 31st, and then we stop off Alcatraz, which is right in the center of the show, and we watch the air show from the ship.
That is really cool. That's almost too much to remember, so I'm going to have to go check out ssjeremiahobrien.org. That's the place to go, you guys, ssjeremiahobrien.org. Okay, so that's going to wrap it up for this interview. I got to get out of here, but we're going to run a couple commercials, but we will be back. Anything else to say?
Thanks, Dave.
Oh, you are very welcome,
Thank you
guys.
so much.
You are very welcome.
And thanks to your listeners.
Keep it tuned in. This is AM 1080 KSCO Santa Cruz, and we will be right back.
Fantastic. We got